Hi, good morning friends. I hope you are having a fabulous day. We are out here at the garden. As you can see behind me, the beautiful sunflowers have started to join us. But beyond that, you can probably see some big rain clouds. So we're gonna try and do a really quick harvest. I've got a few things ready in the garden that I wanna get picked. Normally, I do not look like this out in the garden. I just got home from a work meeting and saw the forecast and those big rain clouds, and I thought, you know what, we need to get out here right away, get what we need to harvest picked, and then the rest of the day we can spend it in the house preserving the harvest and doing some cooking. So I'm just gonna give you a little quick tour of what we've got going on in the garden right now, and then we're just gonna get right to harvesting, and we'll catch up after that in the kitchen. So let me give you a spin around and show you what we've got going on. Alrighty, so I just had to start here with the sunflowers. How beautiful is it looking right now? I just love the sunflowers so much. Gotta come up close to them. This is one of my favorite kinds of sunflower. This is a white knight. I just think they are so beautiful. They are absolutely stunning. And then in behind them, I can't remember the kind of sunflower these ones are, but absolutely just as gorgeous. And then as we come on down here, we've got more getting ready to pop open. I apologize if you can hear the traffic behind me. It is a Saturday and we live a ways off the road, but it's a busy road, so there's not much time on weekends when there's not much traffic. We live in cottage country, so all the people from the city come up on the weekends and we get a lot more traffic. So you'll have to excuse the weeds because I've been neglecting that part of the garden a little bit, but there's the zinnias coming along there beautifully. And as we come from the zinnias, we have some dahlias back there and the full tomato jungle. I gotta get in there and do some pruning, but they've just really gotten away on me this year. I've got, this is a butternut squash variety. I think they call it a baby butternut, and it's just doing its thing. There's quite a few fruit on there, just hidden. That's the only one I can see on this side of the fence. There's another one in there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's doing well. It's still flowering. You can see some flowers in there doing its thing. And then we've got our zucchini plants. They're kind of petering out now. Well, I say that, and I see another one in there. They've done really well this year. We've had tons of zucchinis. And then in that absolute jungle, I've got my onions that need harvesting, my beans, some peas still doing it, and beets. And I really need to get in there, but I don't think that'll be a today job. A couple more dahlias. And of course, we've got the pepper bed there. And then I also need to rip that dill and the cilantro out and do another planting. Probably we'll do more cilantro, lettuce, and possibly radishes in there. I'm not sure if we'll get to that today. I'm gonna get in there and get a close-up of that dahlia because it's absolutely gorgeous. And then we've got my other dahlia beds. So just pause for a moment while I climb the fence and get in there, and I'm gonna give you a close-up of those beautiful dahlias. I do have my basket. Not sure if it's gonna be big enough though now, come to think of it, and my scissors because we are gonna do a little bouquet as well. Like, how gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it is just stunning. I hate to do it, but we're gonna pick this one today because there's a lot of rain coming, and once it rains, it's just going to be ruined anyways. So we're gonna pick it, but as you can see, tons of buds coming on this one plant. Oh, I can feel the raindrops starting. And then over here, of course, we've got our red ones that just seem to love their life. I gotta downsize those red ones. I didn't mean to plant that many of them. And this little beauty here. This guy's slow to come, but he'll be here soon. And then we've got this falling apart bed, but those are my leeks, and I wonder if maybe they're ready to harvest. This is my first year growing leeks, so I really have no idea. That's what they look like up close. Maybe some of you guys can tell me if I need to be harvesting these or if I let them go too long. I'm gonna have to do some research because I'm really not sure. But this is the bed, the main bed that we came out here for. Look at this beautiful pepper, starting to turn color. Love it. But these guys, look at them all. We gotta do some picking. I have no idea what we're gonna do with them yet. They're turning purple. I don't know if that's normal either, but the plants, I don't know if you can tell, are starting to lean. So anyways, we're just gonna get these picked and figure out what we're doing with them later. There's so many. Oh my gosh, there's so many peppers in here. Can you hear the thunder? The rain is coming. We've got to work faster. I keep thinking I'm getting to the end of them and then I'll find another huge clump of them. Look at this basket. Oh my gosh. So clearly I don't need 5 jalapeno plants. I think I probably would have been fine with 1 or 2, to be honest with you. Especially with how spicy they are. Okay, so I think I've picked all the ones that I want to pick. There's still lots more on there, but I don't know if you can see, like, they're just not quite as big as I would normally pick them. So I'm just going to leave them because this is plenty for now. Okay, so let's go on to, let's do our dahlias. We're going to pick the dahlias because they will get ruined if they get rained on. The rest of the stuff will be fine if it gets rained on. Look at that. Absolutely magnificent. Ah, such a beauty. Look at this little one. I think this is one of my Floret. I can't remember what brand it is, but I'm super disappointed in them. It's very unfortunate. This is how they all look. So I don't know, maybe I did something wrong. Who knows? But they're still cute. I still add them to vases, but they're just not up to par like these beautiful colored ones. I love the color though, just they don't look nice. Look at that dahlia. Beautiful. A couple sunflowers. Beautiful. I have to show you the tomatoes. I picked 2 tomatoes this morning. So excited to have bacon and tomato sandwiches, but I have to show you the jungle that it is. Look at all those. Oh my goodness. We are going to be absolutely inundated. I really gotta get in here and do something. Look at those. Like, there's just so many. Okay, so we got what we needed picked. Look at all these jalapeno peppers and look at these beauties. Oh, I just can't wait to make my counter bouquet out of these. It's absolutely stunning. Oh my goodness, I just can't believe it. Okay, the rain is holding off so far, so behind me is that bed that I wanted to rip out. All right there. So I'm gonna rip everything out of that, and if I have a little bit more time before the rain, I might quickly plant, what did I say, lettuce, cilantro, radishes? We'll see what happens. But the sun is out, like what the heck? But look at the clouds behind me. It was supposed to rain all day. We got a special weather statement that we are supposed to get 40 to 80 millimeters of rain, which is quite a bit for us. We could use it, like my garden is dry right now. That's just a lot of rain, and that's supposed to all happen within today and tomorrow. So I don't know if they changed that. That's what it said last night, but I'm excited for the rain. Like, it will be nice to have a good rain, but that's just a lot at once. So we'll see if it happens or not. Anyways, let's get this bed ripped out. Okay, so that did not take as long as I thought it would. Everything came out so easily. Sometimes when the ground is dry, things come out a little bit, you know, it's a little bit harder to pull them out, but no, everything came out so easily. So I did leave, there's 2 younger cilantro plants, so they didn't go to flower. Everything else had gone to flower and was starting to make seed, so don't really want to leave those in there. I don't need cilantro to self-seed. The dill had done the same, it had all gone to flower and self-seeded. I'm probably going to have dill growing in this raised bed for years to come now, which is fine. I do have another dill patch just on the other side by the sunflowers in with beside my rhubarb. So I've still got lots of dill if I need it, but I just don't need to be wasting space in my raised bed for dill when I have lots of it over on the other side. So I'm just going to run our harvest up to the house, get those flowers in some water, and then I'll be back out here to quickly plunk a couple seeds in the ground. All right, so this is the empty bed. I forgot that I plopped an extra pepper plant in there. So it does have some blossoms. So I'm gonna leave it and see what happens. But there's one little cilantro and my other one. So hopefully if I need cilantro, I can grab it from there until the rest grows. Okay, so let's run this stuff into the house and we will be back out here shortly. Okay, so we are back. It has started to rain, so I'm glad we got out into the garden when we did. I've decided that with our load of jalapeno peppers, we're going to make some cowboy candy or candied jalapenos. I've never made this before. I've seen a video on YouTube about it and it sounds delicious. It also sounds like it will take some of the heat away from the jalapenos. As they are, I think they're too spicy, like too hot, too much heat to them for us to eat, you know, as jalapeno poppers, which is how we would normally do it. I have added them into some dressings and the corn salad that I made the other day, and it was doable, but only one pepper at a time. Like, I wouldn't want to put any more than one pepper in. Right now we've got so many of them coming out of the garden, I just need to find a way to use them up. I hate wasting food, so we're gonna try this recipe and see what happens. I did get it online. I will link it below for anybody that wants to try it. It's going to make 6 to 8 jars. So I've just got my jars soaking behind me. I reuse my jars, so I do wash them every time I go to use them. So let's start with making the brine. So right now I've got 4 cups of sugar in my pot. I've got another 2 cups here that I'm going to add to that. A lot of sugar, 6 cups total, which is a lot, but I guess it's no different than making jam. Next, we're going to add 2 cups of cider vinegar. So I've got my cider vinegar here. Measure out 2 cups. A little bit more. So I think I'm thinking that this is going to be like a pickle, but the more I think about it, it's like we're making a simple syrup. So these are going to be more like, you know, they're not going to be a jelly, but they're going to be more like, you know, like a red pepper jelly, something that you would put on top of cream cheese and enjoy on crackers. I think in my mind, I'm thinking that we are pickling them and it's something that we would have on, you know, lasagna or spaghetti or a casserole, you know, something like that. I think I just need to get my head wrapped around the fact that they're going to be sweet, which is kind of foreign to me. So funny. Okay, so let's add our cider vinegar in with our sugar. It does not seem like enough liquid, but that's okay. Now I need a measuring spoon because we need to add half a teaspoon of turmeric, which I've got right here. Half a teaspoon of turmeric going in. And then we're going to add half a teaspoon of celery seed. Probably should have done that the other way around, but that's okay. Half a teaspoon of celery seed. 3 teaspoons granulated garlic, which I don't have granulated garlic, but I have garlic powder. I wonder if fresh garlic might be better in this application. You know what? I think I'm going to get some fresh garlic. I think that sounds like that might be better than my powdered garlic. In the meantime, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of the cayenne pepper. So that needs to go in here as well. Oh my goodness, and I just realized, friends, I was using my 1/4 teaspoon. So I need to add another scoop of turmeric and another scoop of celery seed. Thank goodness I noticed that. We're off to a great start. Okay. My dogs just came in from outside and they were in the rain. We always make them wait on the mat if they're wet. So Miller, the German Shepherd, she always gets impatient and starts whining at me when she thinks that her time is up. So, okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab some garlic. Okay, so what I decided to do was I went and grabbed 2 of my frozen garlic pucks from the freezer. So a couple weeks ago, I bought some garlic locally, seconds. So what that means is basically they're just not in perfect, pristine selling condition. So they usually sell them at a discounted price. So I got a really big basket for a really good price. But what it also means is they're not going to keep in storage for as long. So it's something that you want to process and put up appropriately. So I decided to go ahead and put it all through my food processor, dice it up, and freeze it in the pucks. So it's about 1.5 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more in each puck. There they are again. They're a pretty good size. So you flash freeze them on a cookie sheet, and then after they've completely frozen, I put them in a freezer bag. You want to double up the freezer bags because garlic is something that can, you know, get into everything. So you just want to double up the bags so that you don't have any chance of that flavor and that smell getting into other things in your freezer. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of the garlic pucks in there, and I think that should be sufficient. As that syrup, I guess we're going to call it, or brine, as that heats up, because we have to bring that to a boil, that'll cook the garlic as well, and I think that's going to add a really nice flavor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get that onto the stove and get that up to a boil. Once that's done its thing, or while it's doing its thing, we're going to start preparing our jalapenos. So let's get this onto the stove, shall we? Okay, so I've got our lids here ready. I haven't brought them up to a boil yet, but they're sitting here ready, and I will heat them up once we get prepared. But I'm going to go ahead and put our brine or syrup onto medium. I don't know if there's much point in trying to stir it right now. I guess it will stir. This is so strange, like there just does not seem to be enough liquid in here. I also find it kind of funny we didn't add salt or pepper. I normally would, but we're gonna follow the recipe. I'm gonna do my best and follow the recipe, and we'll see how things turn out. We can always tweak for next time. Okay, so I have our jalapeno peppers all washed and ready to go. I've got my cutting board, I've got my knife here, and I've got my mandolin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and cut the tops off of all the jalapeno peppers, and then I'm going to slice them uniformly with my mandolin. All the while my brine is coming up to a boil, so it's going to be a little bit of a dance. The recipe says, in the large pot, bring your syrup to a boil, reduce the heat and simmer for 5 minutes. Raise the heat to boiling again, add the pepper slices, return to a hard boil. Then reduce the heat again and simmer for exactly 4 minutes. Use a slotted spoon to transfer the peppers, loading into clean canning jars to within 1/4 of an inch of the upper rim of the jar. Then turn the heat up to the pot with the syrup and bring to a full rolling boil. Boil hard for 6 minutes. Use a ladle to pour the boiling syrup into jars over the jalapeno slices. Then you insert your chopstick to the bottom of the jar to release any trapped air, which is usual. And then you're going to can them for 10 minutes. Wish me luck. Let's get everything diced and ready to go, and then we'll do the dance part. Okay, so we have our 52 jalapeno peppers with the tops removed. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get them sliced. I forgot to get gloves. I'm really kicking myself, but that's one of the reasons why I'm using the mandolin, is I'm hoping to alleviate touching them as much as possible. We have to leave the seeds in, or that's what you're supposed to do apparently. So let's get to it and see how it goes. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I pre-washed all of the peppers. So they're already washed, and then just behind me here, it's kind of hard to tell, but I've got all of my jars washed, and they're just drying there, but they are also ready to go. Let's get to slicing. I think I want them a little bit thicker, so I'm just going to adjust my slicer so that I can get them a little thicker. The seeds just seem to be falling out, and that's not what the picture looks like, so I think it does need to be thicker. So I'm just going to do that. It's looking better. Just not sure it's going to work. That seems to be working all right. Okay, we are down to the nitty gritty. So I have had the, what are we calling it? Brine. Yeah, okay, sure. We've had the brine come to a boil, and then I've reduced it to a simmer for 5 minutes. So now we need to raise it back up to boiling and add in the pepper. Raise the heat to boiling again. Add the pepper slices. Return to a hard boil. Okay. I do want to show you what it looks like now because it's totally changed how it looks. Like it totally just looks like a syrup now. Like a simple syrup, I guess, is maybe what it's considered. All right, let's get this back up to a boil and then we'll add the peppers. I do know there's pepper seeds all over my kitchen. Okay, I need to read this recipe again. So stressful. Okay, we're up to a rolling boil, so we're going to take all of our peppers and get them in the pot. Look at all those seeds. I think I'm just gonna put those seeds in the garbage. I don't think we need any extra seeds in here. Okay, we're simmering away. Our timer is set. One thing I wanted to mention when we were making the syrup, my whole house smelled like balsamic glaze. Like it smelled really good. Now that the peppers are in there, the smell has changed completely. It still smells good, but I'm just surprised at how much the peppers have changed the scent. I'm also surprised at how much the peppers have changed in look. So they started off as really bright green and now they're going like really, really dark. I'll show you a close up here in a minute. I'm so excited to taste them. I tasted the syrup or the brine, whatever you want to call it. And it does taste really good. It almost tastes like a honey Dijon mustard, which I guess makes sense with all the sugar and then the apple cider vinegar and then the garlic. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to taste. It does say that you're supposed to let them sit for up to, or at least a month before digging into them. We might have to try them a little bit sooner. And of course we'll do so together. There's our timer. Let me grab the peppers. That's how we're looking. All right, let's get the peppers into the jars. Okay, so we are putting the peppers into our jars and filling the jars up to 1/4 of the headspace. With a slotted spoon, following the directions exactly. I don't know if we're supposed to like pack them in there, but I'm gonna push them down a little bit. That's good. So once we get the jars filled up, then we need to return the syrup back to the stove and bring it back to a hard boil. And we need to boil it hard for 6 more minutes. The times on this recipe are very specific to me. I'm not used to being this, what's the word, disciplined? I ended up adding all the seeds off the cutting board. I don't know if we were supposed to. The recipe didn't really specify, but I thought, you know what? If it doesn't specify, then it also doesn't specify not to. So I guess we'll just see what happens. I feel like it would also be good to add some red onions when doing this. I don't know if that would throw off the canning process, but like pickled red onions are so good. I guess this really isn't pickled though. Well, sweet pickled? I don't know. Either way, I think it would be good. Might have to remember that next time. Miller, go lay down. Anybody else's dogs like to join them in the kitchen? Mine are usually laying right at my feet, ready to catch anything that they can. We even keep a dog bed in our kitchen. I know that sounds weird. We do have a large kitchen, and like over here is like a, you know, like a seating area, I guess. So maybe not so weird, but. All right, just a few more. So 6 jars was perfect. That never happens to me. I feel like I need to buy a lottery ticket. This kind of reminds me when I was a kid, we'd go to the barn with my dad. One of the things that, like one of our chores was to use a strainer and scoop out the water trough, like the cow's water trough. And this job kind of reminds me of that. It would just be like pieces of hay would get in the water trough, so you just scoop it out so it was, you know, clean for the cows. And this reminds me of that. Okay, there we have it. So we have our jars full. We are going to put our syrup back on and bring it to a boil and boil hard for 6 minutes. Stay tuned. Okay, so we have our syrup that was on to boil for 6 minutes at a hard boil. So I've just got my lids on the little pot there, just heating them up so that they're ready to go. But in the meantime, let's start to put our syrup in and on top of our cowboy candy. So use ladle, pour the boiling syrup into the jars over the jalapeno slices. Perfect, okay. I feel like I've read this recipe 55 times. Okay, so we've got our jars filled up. Now the recipe does say that if you have leftover syrup, and it is likely that you will, you may can it in half pint or pint jars too. It's wonderful brushed on meat, on the grill, or added to potato salad. In short, don't toss it out. So I have some extra jars, so I think I might as well just fill up some jars. I was planning to, like, I'll do more of these cowboy candy, but I think it's probably best just to can up the syrup. And then I wonder, I should do some research. I wonder if once it's canned, if I can then reopen it and do another batch. I feel like that would work. Anyways, doesn't matter. I don't want it to go to waste, so we're gonna can it up anyways. Two more jars here. I do know my kitchen is a bit of a sticky mess. One thing I didn't think about when pickling jalapenos or preserving jalapenos, I didn't think my kitchen would be a sticky mess, but here we are. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and wipe all of my jar tops. This will just ensure two things. Number one, you get a good clean seal. And number two, oftentimes you can feel if there's any nicks or cracks in the tops of your jars this way. Perfect. I just want to check the headspace. Yeah. Good. I could have even put a little bit, a touch more, but that's okay. Okay, let's get our lids on, or our tops on. So I've got my handy dandy little tool here. Okay, so I'm gonna put all my jars onto my cutting board and carry them outside. So I do all of my water bath canning outside. Our barbecue has an element on the side of it, and it works really good for my big water bath canner. I just find in here my elements aren't big enough, and in the heat of summer, it's nice to keep all of the heat outside. So this is what works well for us. we don't really use the barbecue at all. I literally just keep it for the element. One of these days, maybe I'll just get like a portable element. I've seen people use like a setup like that, like something you can just set up as you need. So I've got my handy dandy grabber. Let's head outside and get these in the water bath canner. All right, friends, so we got our cowboy candy out of the canner. Everything looks good, and as I was taking it out and setting them on the cutting board, I could hear the seals popping, and I'm fairly certain that I heard all 9 seals pop while I was out there. I even got one on video, so you'll have to listen closely back to the replay to hear that, but I'm very, very happy. So we've got 6 jars of the cowboy candy, or candied jalapenos, whatever you want to call it, and then 3 jars of the syrup or brine, which I'm hoping that we'll be able to use on the next batch. Anyways, I can't wait to try these. We tried some of the syrup while we were waiting to can it, and it was pretty tasty. Very spicy, like hot to eat. Nowhere near as spicy as the jalapenos were when we made poppers with them. So we'll see. Hopefully the sugar and the vinegar kind of counterbalances the spice. You'll have to stay tuned to see how we feel about it. One more thing that I wanted to add, I realized that I forgot to record the debubbling process. I did debubble these, so I have a wooden or a bamboo chopstick that I stick down in each jar. I did that, I just forgot. I thought I was still recording. I had shut it off and I forgot to press record, so I apologize. We did debubble these, and then we did can them for the 10 minutes, which is what the recipe recommends. So I just wanted to add that. Now these are going to stay sitting out on my counter for 24 hours undisturbed, and then at that time, after the 24 hours is up or more, we'll see how long they stay on the counter. Then we're gonna clean up the jars, and then we'll label them and put them up with the rest of my jarred goods and let the month of waiting begin. Anyways, I just wanted to thank you again so much for joining us today, and I really can't wait to see you in the next one. Have a great night, friends. Take care.